at our vendors before our workshops start this afternoon. Again, for those of you who don't know, my name is Keith Tebow. I'm pleased and honored to be chair of the Board of Directors of the Alliance for Community Media, and I'd like to welcome you and call to order the 2018 membership meeting of the Alliance for Community Media. This is our annual opportunity to talk to you as members, to give you updates on what the organization's been doing over the past year, as well as to hear from you. There'll be ample opportunity at the end of the meeting to answer some of your questions and get some comments from you. There is a microphone in the front of the room here, so if you do have some comments or questions, please make your way to the microphone a little bit later on. Also, one note, on your name badge, you'll notice if you have a thin blue line, that means you are a voting member of the ACM, and that gives you the ability to vote on any items that are before us today. So if you have a blue line on your badge, that means you can take part in voting during today's meeting. You will see today's agenda before you on the screens. We have a very ambitious agenda today, a lot to cover. What I'd like to do before we get started is ask if any member or anyone here has any additions to the agenda that they would like to add for consideration today. And I apologize if you raise your hand. The lights are quite bright. Any additions to the agenda today? You'll be hearing from a number of board members, a number of other number of people today. Again, there's a microphone here if anyone has any additions. If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Move to approve.
So moved. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. So voted. I'd like to recognize the members of our Board of Directors who are with us today. I've had the pleasure to serve on this board now for almost 4 years, and they are truly a dedicated group of individuals who are focused on our mission and moving the organization forward. You see the list on the screen before you. They are definitely a pleasure to work with. I'd like to invite all of our board members to please stand and be recognized. Board of Directors. Again, as I have said before, please seek any of us out throughout the remainder of the conference if you have any questions or any comments or concerns. As I said yesterday, we're here to help. I'm also pleased to recognize our ACM staff, led by our President and CEO, Mike Wassenaar. Mike, in front. You'll hear from Mike a little bit later on in our program. Our Chief Operating Officer, Melissa Place, is in the back. She leads our management staff in Minneapolis. She's joined here in Baltimore by Katie Benson, who is our conference manager, and Angie Newgren, who handles our organization's communications. Not with us today, but someone who we interact with quite often, and you do as well as members, is Claire Steele, who handles our membership outreach. So please give all our staff a round of applause. They do great work for us. I'm pleased to report that the state of our organization remains strong. Our consistent growth in recent years has afforded the board the opportunity to actually look ahead. For many years, the organization was focused on surviving instead of thriving. Fortunately for the organization, that's changed. This January, the Board of Directors, in conjunction with staff, approved a 3-year strategic plan that will guide our work through 2021. In my opinion, the plan balances our ambitions with also the realization that the media landscape may change over the next 3 years. On the screen, you see a link to our website where you can see details of the strategic plan, and I'd like to focus a little bit on it during my talk today. Our plan focuses on 5 areas of interest. They are membership, public policy, communication, governance, and finances. You'll hear about our public policy work from Mike in a few moments, and our financial outlook from Nancy Richard, our treasurer. In the area of membership, we as a board and as an organization appreciate the level of support we continue to receive from you, our members. Our retention rate remains high, and in 2017, we saw an overall increase of membership of 12% over 2016. More impressive was that our organizational membership year over year was up a staggering 22%. So that's another reason for applause. I want to thank those of you who've stuck with us throughout the years and those who are newly with us. I asked this question yesterday. I'd like to do it again. Those who are first-time attendees of the conference, please raise your hand. Some of them are new members, but also new attendees. So thank you for showing up today. I really appreciate it. In the area of membership, we also strive to grow membership each year. Our goal is to expand by 5% growth in each of our membership categories each year. However, we realize that that growth and retention comes only as a result of providing services that you, our members, want. That's why we continue to seek your input into meeting your needs. We seek opportunities to work with some of our vendors to provide cost savings for our membership. This began this year. Some of you may know we have an agreement with B&H Photo Video to provide a discount for our members. We're looking to expand those opportunities in the coming years. We've also increased and diversified our educational opportunities, not only through this conference, but also through our webinars. Launching this year will be the creation and distribution of a member survey, giving you the opportunity to evaluate how we're doing and ways that we can get better. Look for that survey sometime this fall, and please take part. It's very important that you do that. We hope to make the polling of our membership a regular practice going forward. Over the last 4 years, communication from the organization to our members has been consistent and thorough, but we also know there's still some work to be done. Many of us have recognized that the Alliance website is in need of some updating. Although a valuable resource of information, it hasn't been very intuitive in terms of allowing members to update information and to provide input for us in a viable manner. I'm pleased to announce that recently the board has given the staff the green light to issue an RFP to design and build a new website that will be both more flexible for staff, but also will allow members to update their membership information, pay for membership and educational opportunities in one location, and also access members-only material. So we're excited about this initiative, and please look for our new website early in 2019. We're also looking to update the Community Media Database. Some of you may know this as an online resource that was created by Rob McCausland, who was a strong advocate and actually an employee at one time of the Alliance for Community Media. We'd like to be able to use the information in the database to advance our work with existing members, but also reach out to those who would benefit from being members of our organization. Another part of our communications effort will be the creation of material that you can use locally, regionally, and also nationally to inform your local officials and leaders about the importance of community media in general, but also add specific information about your individual centers. So again, we're working on that, and you'll see some of that come to fruition very soon. Over its history, the Alliance has had some dynamic people serve on our board of directors, and many of you are still with us today and here today, and I want to thank you for your service. We feel it's important as an organization to continue to strive to ensure that our board is diverse, well-educated, and prepared for service. We'll continue to seek input into how we can better govern our board and our organization, This will involve drafting clear roles and expectations for board service, and also encourage members to get involved with us through our national committees and within our regions. I ask that you consider giving back to this organization in any way you can through service, and we'll have more information through our nominations committee report in a few moments. There's no alliance without the support and work being done in the grassroots by our regions and our affiliates. As many of you know too well, state and federal regulations have negatively impacted our membership in many states, and as an extension, our regional structure, to a point that currently 5 of our 8 regions are still organized, and some of those regions are still having some difficulties to continue to function in a viable manner. Our strategic plan makes a point to work with our regional leadership to devise ways the national organization can help those regions serve and grow. Our regional leaders are in the front lines to recruit new members. We've only scratched the surface in reaching the dozens of community media organizations across the country who do not know of us and who would benefit from being members. And we feel the best way to introduce them many ways to the Alliance is through our regions. We have recently launched a regional leadership task force to discuss how we as a national organization can better support the regions individually and as a collective. This includes improving communications and also helping with the tools, some of it potentially financial as well, to help our regions and also help our regions recruit board members. One of our most ambitious goals in the strategic plan calls for not only strengthening our current regions, but seeking the return of our Mid-Atlantic, Southeast, and Southwest regions by 2021. The future of this organization rests with all of us, not just the board and the staff. You're all here because you believe in the work we do as an industry. Spread the word when you can, outside your community, maybe even to some neighboring communities who have community media centers who are not members of the Alliance. All that little touch points will help. We ask you to help us help one another. Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to call to the podium our President and CEO of the Alliance for Community Media, Mike Wassenaar. With chair in hand.
I just can't get enough of our board chair. Actually, in all seriousness, I'm really struck by the eloquence that Keith lays out, the vision that sometimes is not so eloquent in board meetings for our strategic vision. So thank you very much for outlining that, Keith. I really appreciate that. This is a busy year this last year. I'll give you a quick summary of public policy work that the organization has been doing and do a little bit of future forecasting for what we can expect in the coming year. In this last year with Congress, we worked with local franchising authorities to try to delay action on potential telecom rewrites that would harm our industry. We talked a little bit about this during the course of our Hill Day activity yesterday. And to be fair to ourselves, we held our first Hill Day since 2012, this last fall. So actually, we've gone from 0 to 80 in terms of national volunteers who've been doing grassroots advocacy work in Congress over the course of the last 6 months. So I want to thank everyone who had a chance to get to Congress yesterday. Anyone who was part of the Hill Day activity in the room today? Please thank these volunteers for doing their great work. We can expect more Hill Day activity taking place. Probably we'll see some type of activity happening in the lame duck session in Congress, but certainly with the new Congress that happens in 2019, where we'll actually be seeing historic turnover in both the House and the Senate. Regardless of whether it goes red or blue, there's just an historic amount of change that's happening in the Congress, and it's part of our work to be able to educate people in those halls of power. We also work to continue our work with closed captioning, both to educate local authorities as well as putting forward our petition, and continue our work with our petition with the FCC on their second order on captioning that occurred back in 2016. We provided briefs for stations and for local franchising authorities across the country on closed captioning regulations, and we want to actually be a go-to authority for those local authorities to ensure that bad decisions are not made that harm community media practice around the United States. We also continue negotiations with the FCC on our petition, and we informed our membership on its status. We expect over the course of the next 12 months that we'll actually be seeing some further action on that, but we'll keep you informed as to what happens with the petition between now and next summer. The next slide. We actually supported amicus briefs in the case of Comcast versus Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission, which affected fee structures and whether or not fees could be, whether or not a supplementary public utility commission fee could be called a franchise fee. This actually affects not just Sacramento, not just municipalities in the state of California, but a whole host of our members across the country. We submitted comments in the Notice of Proposed Rulemaking on channel lineup requirements just recently, where the cable industry has been seeking to eliminate reporting on how channels line up in their local communities. And we're continuing our work with our partners at NATOA and then actually the National Association of Broadcasters, who agrees with our petition that the cable industry has to have a complete, accurate, and historic record of their channel lineups, and we can't rely just simply on promotional materials that they provide to customers as a way to actually document how their media practice works. We continued work with the FCC on the ruling on the so-called 621 orders of 2007 and 2008, which define what can and cannot be included as a franchise fee as opposed to in-kind support. That's work that we actually will be continuing probably to be doing over the course of the coming year. And then we supported state work. As part of our strategic initiatives, we expect that we'll be actually supporting more state work over the course of the next several years as our capacity grows nationally, and we support more state efforts that are taking place on the ground with both political, strategic, and some legal support for our friends in Vermont, Massachusetts, Hawaii, and Maine, who've been fighting efforts for channel slamming, electronic program guide insertion, and HD channel placement. In the coming year, we can expect that there will be oversight hearings for both the authorization of the FCC, and we will actually be providing questions to members of Congress regarding PEG issues. We expect to conduct another Hill Day activity at least in the early 2019, and then we will be monitoring the lame duck session for possible action that could be affecting our industry. I can't underscore enough exactly how sort of unstable the environment in Washington, D.C. is right now. So we may see a great deal of change happening in November and December. Other activities that we can expect in the coming year, we'll be doing some orientation for Gregory Starks, the new FCC commissioner who has replaced longtime community supporter Mignon Clyburn as a minority member on the commission. We will be expecting to actually be doing some site visits and some orientation with his office in the coming weeks. We expect to actually do some work in the wireline notice of proposed rulemaking that affects some of the questions in the 621 order that we mentioned earlier. And we expect that the chairman's office will be issuing yet another notice of proposed rulemaking on closed captioning registration requirements. Needless to say, I feel like Charlton Heston here at this moment. Public access producers will register with the federal government over my cold, dead hands. I will not have that happen. And then we can expect, I think, that there will be possible merger work that will be happening over the course of the next 12 months as we see continuing merger discussions happening. I think it'll only accelerate in the late day stages of our current administration. That said, I also want to tell you that I expect that we'll be seeing continuing state policy work as conditions emerge in your states. I welcome you to express need for support, if you need legal analysis or political strategy analysis, that's what we're here to do. If you're currently a member and you're not currently part of our public policy working group, you get monthly briefings as a part of your membership with the national staff. So please sign up with me so we can make sure that you can be part of those public policy briefings, which happen on the first Thursday every month at 4 p.m. Eastern. So I want you to make sure that's part of your calendar, and if you need to have more information for public policy briefings, please let me know. And I welcome your questions for other work that we can be doing to strengthen our public policy efforts during the course of our question and answer period. So that said, I'm going to withdraw my chair now, unless Nancy wants it, and we can turn this over to our treasurer's report and Nancy Richard, if it's possible.
Yeah, perfect.
I can move the chair for you. Yeah.
You can use my chair.
No, if I leave it here, I'll end up tripping on it because I'm so graceful. Here we go. Wow, it is bright up here. So now for the most riveting part of the meeting, the treasurer's report. Don't laugh. Okay, it's actually, I guess we've got a, oh yes, okay. So I'm Nancy Richard. I'm the treasurer of the Alliance Board. And we, as part of our strategic plan, are under finances to grow the membership by 5% a year and to grow earned income for the organization by $30,000 per year. So far in 2018, it is 18, isn't it? We are at a 4.2 growth, and we are working on the growing of the income, and we're looking pretty good. Our finances are in really good shape. Another goal is to research and implement investment policy during 2018, and the Finance Committee is working on this, so we'll be probably putting together a report so that we can bring something back to the board in November. And lastly, to implement sponsorship and earned income activities, and this work has been started with the addition of additional opportunities in the weekly newsletter, which began at the end of 2017, and more work will be dedicated to leading this into 2019. The ACM ended the year 2017 on a high note, as indicated in the unaudited reports. The current assets as of December 31st, 2017 were $192,115.16 compared to $130,954 in December of 2016. So that's a really good, really good indication of how well the organization is doing financially. And having been a long-term member of the ACM, I am very, very happy to be treasurer at this time. So those of you who have been around for a long time understand that. The unaudited income over expenses in 2017 shows a net of $55,832. So we're trying to best this in 2018, so we best keep working. This is due in part to strong membership revenues and a lot of hard work by the staff to make sure that the income that does come in is carefully stewarded. Also from contributions from organizations to the annual appeal and public policy campaigns. And those of you in the room who have donated to these campaigns, particularly last year and this year so far, I want to issue a thank you. I'm not going to name you all, but I do want to thank you, all of you, for your participation in these annual appeals. It's very important to the organization to be able to carry on the good work that we've been doing. In 2017, our 2017 audit is ongoing. It's just about done. It's scheduled to be presented to the board sometime after this conference. so that the paperwork can be submitted for 2017 in a timely fashion. And I want to thank the members of the Finance Committee, who are Gary Martin, Mark Monk, Mary Van Sickle, Donna Keating, Keith Tebu, and new member Mike Johnson, who is, I'm very glad to say, has joined us. And also Mike and Melissa for serving on the committee. We have our monthly calls, and sometimes they go very quickly, other times they don't, but having this many people looking over the finances every month means that we don't miss anything. And I think that's a really important thing for our organization. And you make my job very easy, and thank you again. So I guess I could ask if there were any questions from the floor at this point. Do I see it? Okay, well, that's good. So I'm going to exit stage, whatever it is, and let Keith take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next, I'd like to bring up to the podium Antoine Haywood. Some of you may know Antoine as a longtime member of the ACM, former member of the ACM board. He currently serves on the board of the Foundation of the Alliance for Community Media, and he'd like to spend a few moments to speak with you about foundation work. Antoine. Oh my.
Bright lights, big city. All right, how about that? So if this chair is up here and all these chairs are down there, does this make this the chair of chairs? Just had to ask, it's good to see you all once again, and I am here representing the foundation, and for those of you who are not familiar with the foundation's work, really briefly, the foundation of the Alliance for Community Media focuses primarily on supporting hometown educational programs within our field, and then also developing partnerships that help extend our network and also raise the awareness and tell the story about the importance of what we do in community media. So I've been part of the foundation for 2 years, and it has been a very pleasant and a very inspiring experience to work with folks who are looking at things that are in terms of broad, in terms of building our field. And thinking of talking about building and being broad, it ties into this whole theme of the conference, which I'm really feeling, which is be more, right? Being more, And there's a couple things, just two brief things that I wanted to share with you today. One, I'm going to call out someone, and this is a special acknowledgement and a heartfelt thank you to Tony Riddle for his efforts, for what he's done. I'm going to try not to lock up on here at the podium. No. This is some more for Tony Riddle. Tony, the man rode his bike. He rode his bike from Brooklyn to Baltimore, right? He didn't take a stagecoach. He didn't take the Northeast Regional. He didn't take a hot air balloon. He rode the bike. He pedaled his way here and raised over $3,000 for the foundation. That's what I talk about being more. That's what I'm talking about when we talk about be more. So thank you, Tony, so much for your efforts. And Tony every year comes to me, Antoine, how can I help? How can I help? And we need more people like that are just like, what can I do to support this organization? And in creative ways. I'm not saying bike across country, because people got different health issues. He asked me, and I was like, I can't do it, player. But you got it. I'm going to support you. Here's some money. The second thing that I thought about this point of being more is more of as a personal and a reflection of as inner and, about what I'm about to do to be more. And some of you may or may not know, but in August, I'm going to be officially transitioning out of my position at Philly Cam after 8 years. And I'll be transitioning into academia to work on my PhD at the University of Pennsylvania at the Annenberg School. So, you haven't gotten rid of me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still in Philly. I'm still going to come to the, I don't have to fundraise to come to this conference, but yes, I will be here and be participating. And a big part of this, and the reason why I bring this up, is that I had a class last summer, and a leadership class, and then we talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And so many of you are familiar with that. And then the top is self-actualization. And self-actualization, to me, I learned was about being more. So me transitioning out of this point, it's not about like, oh, I don't like PhillyCam anymore, and I don't like doing peg work anymore. I'm going to research this to figure out how to develop tools to make our field more sustainable, right? Because there's a lot of people there's a limited amount of people that are doing this work. So it's about, again, being more, and I hope that we can do what we can to build our network so that we can be sustainable. So, but the thing of it is, this isn't about me. This isn't about Tony. This is about us, right? This is about how can we all collectively be more? How can we all collectively be more to make this organization more sustainable, all right? So today I'm up here, not coming, I already came up here. I'm here to ask you to join me in helping grow the work that we do in terms of, and especially the work that we're doing on the foundation side. And I'm asking you clearly to join me in becoming a sustaining member. Tony gives every year. I do my part. But again, this isn't about what Tony did, although it's awesome, and what I'm going to be doing. This is about what we're all going to be doing, right? Is that right? Right. So please, I'm asking folks, you can join, you can sign up online. We definitely want to increase the number of people who are giving on a monthly basis. You can give anywhere, $10, $20, give more if you're really feeling it. But just become a part of building our sustainer network. So thank you so much, and I know that all of our efforts together are going to help us extend our reach beyond this galaxy. There are cards that are on everyone's table. So thank you, Jackie, thank you, Mike, for holding it up, where you can sign up today, and please do this. Sign up and just start at a little, people pay. I pay $10 for Spotify a month, and I value this organization just as I do my music. So, and that says a lot, if y'all know me. So, all right, take care. I love you all from the bottom of my heart, and I look forward to just another 20 years of working with this organization.
Thank you, Antoine. And just one note, if you are going to be filling out the pledge cards, I'm asking some of our board members to be available to collect them at the end of the meeting. They'll be at the doors, but also you can return it to the registration table if that is something you would like to do as well. So thank you, Antoine, and thanks to the foundation for their hard work. Next up in our agenda, I'd like to call up Gary Martin. Gary is the Executive Director at Sacramento, and he's our Western Region representative on the board and also our Chair of Regions for our Member Relations Report.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I have to echo what Antoine said. I was accused coming through the conference that I had the most ribbons. The most important one is the one that's right there, the one at the top that says donor. Being a monthly donor is a huge benefit to the foundation and to the work that we do, and I hope that all of you will pick up a card and make sure and turn that in, because it's important work by both the foundation and by the C6 trade show. So thank you very much. As part of my work with the board out of the West Region, I'm also the chair for the Member Relations Committee, and Antoine made the joke prior to being the chair of regions, it was called the chair of chairs, because each region has its own chair. So it is actually a title, Antoine, and thank you for turning it into a joke. That's right. Okay, so The member relations report, let me tell you that mostly this is quarterly calls, a teleconference kind of opportunity, and the chairs and representatives from the regions are invited to participate in this conversation between what's happening in the region and what's happening at national. It is really an opportunity for the board to link your vision for your center into something that we can help promote nationally. It is important in public policy work to know the things that you are doing, and more importantly, the way that at the national organization, how we can support the good things that you are doing. We share the regional successes. Many of you are having trade shows, conferences similar to this, and we want to be able to support that. Contact the national office so that we can promote it in the newsletter and on the website. All of those things are available to you. The national resources are available to the regions and to all of the center members. That includes, as Keith mentioned, our B&H discount program, the other types of services, which include the Groups I.O., which I'm going to mention here in just a second. Keith also talked about the important number of items in our strategic plan that tie the regions back to the work of the national organization and how the national organization takes its drive from the regions. We really do want to be able to support you. And whether that comes with supporting your educational mission, whether it's in technology, whether it's in democracy, whether it's in free speech, how can we better help you do the good things that you do, but also in leadership development. All of us as executive directors and staff and people who work to create programs, our volunteers at the local centers, need to be able to have the resources necessary to be more, to do more, to be better. And so the Region Member Relations Committee is the way that we communicate that information back and forth from the national organization and on to the regions themselves. On the next page, which talks about successes, I want to say that last year at this meeting, I talked with you about the importance of a shift away from the previous listserv and email blast kinds of systems that were out there. It's called Groups I.O. And if you are not yet connected to Groups I.O., I invite you to go to the national website, All Community Media, and connect with that system. It is the way that regions can talk and centers can talk to each other on topics of mutual concern. The Groups I.O. system is really, really friendly. You can search on topics if there's something you want to find out about, either in technology or in contracts. Type in that word, and Groups I.O. will help you find conversations that have touched on that. But it is also an opportunity for you to put your question out there. What is it that's bothering you? Let the Alliance and the people in the system help you with a direct response to your question. So if you're not a part of Groups I.O., I suggest that you go to the national website, hit the link, and become a member so that you're a part of the conversation. That also includes the B&H discount pricing. I don't know about you. We love it. Little things, large things. The B&H pricing system we've used 4 times in the last 3 months for stuff out of Access Sacramento. It's an important tool. We also can help you promote your own conference and support the good things that you're doing in terms of education, webinars, and outreach. Allow us to make that a part of our communication process to support your communication. The idea that we are all stronger when we are talking together is a part of this conversation that includes the group problem solving. When we have a conversation in the member relations meeting, it's an opportunity for people with similar interests to share their concerns. And we see it out in the hall right now. You have a problem, you talk with someone when you're picking up a soda, and suddenly they have a solution, an idea that helps you be successful. Continue to come to this conference, continue to have the conversation, and be a part of what it means to communicate your needs to the board so that the board can reply back to you. You can have this type of direct input. If you are a region chair already, you're connected with member relations, phone call, and teleconference. But if you are also interested in being part of the discussion, please, on the next slide, I encourage you to find my address at Access Sacramento. Send me an email. Join the conference call. You can be invited on a quarterly basis. It's an hour to an hour and 15 minutes typically, and we encourage you to participate in giving your experience back to the board and allowing the board to take your ideas forward to drive this organization to be the very best that it can. And with your support, we can absolutely do that. So thank you very much for your time. Keith is coming back up, and we'll move on to some other committees. Thank you very much, everyone.
Next up on our agenda, we have a few committee reports for you today. First up, I invite Barbara Chisholm to the podium to talk about our work in our nominations committee.
Thank you, Keith. I am Barbara Chisholm, and I just want to say it is a privilege to serve on the board of directors and to chair the nominations committee. The call for nominations for this year's at-large election went out the third week of May and will conclude at the conclusion of today's meeting. Members in good standing are eligible to run for a seat on the National Board of Directors. This year, there are 2 available seats for the at-large election, and we currently have 2 nominations. We have Donna Keating and Nancy Richard, who currently serve on the board of directors. The nominating process. The nominating process must be, the nominees must complete and submit the nominations petition form. The form may be submitted on your own behalf or as a petition form signed by 5 ACM members in good standing. Nominees must sign the nomination petition form to formally accept the nomination prior to the conclusion or the close of the nomination period. Each nominee who has accepted their nomination must complete the online board form, which is different from the petition form. These forms, as well as a summary of board responsibilities, can be found on the ACM website under the latest news section. Board member responsibilities. Commitment to the goals of the Alliance for Community Media, agreement with the role of a policy board, willingness to serve on funding development, and experience is preferred if possible, commitment to attend 3 meetings a year in person or electronically. Interested members should prepare for costs. The board meets in person 3 times a year, with 1 meeting at the national conference, like we just had 2 days ago. Costs of participation are the responsibility of board members and can be approximately $3,000 a year for travel, lodging, and meals. The ACM can provide some assistance to board members, but must avoid offsetting too much revenue with these such expenses. If you are a good match for the National Board, we welcome your candidacy. In just a short while, our chair, Keith Tebow, will open the nominations from the floor. At that time, you will be able to either nominate yourself or nominate another member who is interested in serving on the National Board of Directors. Along with previously mentioned nomination petition form, in the board application form, candidates should submit a bio and a headshot. These documents will appear on the online ballot next to the candidate's name in order for members to learn more about each candidate before voting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Up next is a report, again from our treasurer, Nancy Richard, on the organization's fund development activity.
Hi again. It's me. Last year's membership challenge and other donations to the ACM reached a record high goal of $66,370. Thank you. Thanks to the generosity of member organizations like Queens Public Television, MNN, who offered matching challenges during the member challenge, and to the many organizations within the ACM who donated to the cause. This allowed the ACM to accomplish its goals for 2017 and 18, as described in the report from Mike, and gave the organization funds to help avert future challenges to community media and the funding that supports us. In 2018, our membership challenge will be ongoing for the next 3 months. Members of Fund Development Committee, whose members include Barbara Chisholm and myself as co-chairs, Gary Martin, Alan Bouchong, Sabrina Roach, Keith Tebow, John Funfar, Hanalei Apolani, Antoine Hayward, and Joanne Ellen Kaiser. You can tell that there are a lot of people involved in this because it's so important. We'll be contacting organizations during these 3 months and talking to members about contributing to the challenge. We hope that if you have any questions about the ACM and the work that we're doing and how the contributions are being used to support community media, that you will contact us. We'd love to talk to you. And you can reach us, I think our information is on the website, but my email address is nrichard@pactv.org. So thank you very much.
At this time, we'd like to get an update from our Inclusion, Equity, and Engagement Caucus, and I'd like to call up to the podium Jackie Stevens, who is the chair of the caucus. Jackie.
Thank you. Wow, it's bright up here. All right, one minor correction. My last name is Steven. No S at the end. Not the first person to get it wrong, trust me. The Inclusion, Equity, and Engagement Caucus, or IEE, of the Alliance for Community Media is open to all ACM members. The caucus convenes for the purpose of reviewing ACM activity as related to inclusion, equity, and engagement topics, and to provide support and guidance in these areas to the ACM and to our individual centers. The caucus meets on the fourth Thursday of every month at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and a face-to-face meeting at the national conference. This year, we just had our IEE caucus and hosted an engaging conversation with Joseph Torres of Free Press, which, for those of you who were there, you can back me up. That was really wonderful. And if you weren't, you truly missed out. So thank you to Joseph for coming and spending time with us. In addition, the caucus raises money for and administers 2 grassroots scholarships each year to the annual conference. This year we received over 12 applications, I think, and our 2 grassroots scholarships went to Rosemary Bradley and Heather Rigby. So thank you guys for being here, and we were really glad that we were able to help with that. The caucus also recommends a candidate for the IEE caucus representative to the ACM board. As per our operating procedures, the nominations for IE leadership took place in June, and electronic voting happened between June 25th and July 6th, and the results are as follows. Sort of a rearranging of last year's slate. The IE chair is Barbara Chisholm. Vice Chair Ann Thies. Secretary and Treasurer, myself, Jackie Stevens. And IEE Board Representative Barbara Chisholm. And a thanks to everyone who participated in the process. And I want to encourage all ACM members to get involved with the caucus. It's good work, and it's work that all of our centers need, that the organization needs, and I encourage you to participate. If you are interested and want to get an invitation, aside from it will be on the ACM listserv, notice of meetings, but get in contact with me or with Barbara, and we'll make sure that you get an invitation directly to you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Jackie. Now it's time in our agenda to accept some nominations to our ACM board. As Barbara indicated, there are two at-large seats that are available up for election. And at the close of this meeting, the nominations will be closed. Actually, once the nomination process here, we'll be closing the nominations for the year. So I ask anyone to come up and either nominate yourself or nominate someone to be considered for our board of directors. Please raise your hand if anyone has any nominations to our board. Is there any? Apologize if I can't see any hands. Any nominations? We're all full? Last chance, any nominations for the board of directors? Move to close the nominations. Who is that by? I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I get the... Winston Long. Is there a second? Second. Second by Jackie Stephen. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you very much. Our final item on our agenda is an opportunity to hear from you, our members. As I mentioned earlier, there's a microphone in the front of the room. Here's an opportunity for you to ask us questions to the board and to the staff about any concerns you may have, any questions you may have, and we'll open up the process. Please come forward to the microphone to provide any input, any discussion on anything that's either you heard today or you have some questions about. People ready for a nap? Oh, okay, Andrea's coming. Andrea.
Hi, I'm Andrea Capere. I'm from Thurston Community Media and also the chair of the Northwest region. I don't have a question, but I have a comment, and I would just like to thank the leadership for opening board service via electronic means. I know it's been a challenge for people throughout the country to accept board service nominations because of that travel component and the expenditure. So I just want to say thank you, and I think that that's been a great move toward equity.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions or comments? Yes, Nancy, you want to come to the podium, please, to the microphone?
This isn't well thought out, but I started my career as someone who knew nothing about access or anything to do with the Alliance. And one of the first things that I did was to start serving on my local chapter board. And because of that, I have learned a lot about my profession. I've met many, many, many people. Many of them have become close friends. And those of you who are new, I know there are a lot of new people here at the conference, should consider if you want to advance professionally or if you want to know more about the Alliance, consider serving on a committee on your region, or if you live in a state that has a chapter, you should consider serving on the chapter board. It's a lot of fun. It's a great way to start your leadership advancement through your profession, but it's also a great way to make friends and continue to be part of an organization and part of a movement that means a lot to us as people. So just as a thought, you don't have to decide whether you're going to serve on the national board from going from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. You might want to just think, how could I serve in my area? There are a lot of places in this country that have large spaces where there is no access. And I realize that there are also a lot of places that don't have regions anymore. We should be looking at possibility of renewing regions, getting activity together, even if it's just talking on the phone. So think about, what can I do as a person that's in this profession? What can I do to make this a better place for all of us? And how can I serve? If you have a couple of hours a month, we'll take it. Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy. Please come up. Jay? Please identify yourself.
I am Jay. Jay Robertson. I am the chair of the ACM West, and with Antoine's inspired presentation and the incredible peddling of Tony on behalf of the ACM West region, we'd like to provide $2,500 to the foundation to support their fine work.
Thank you very much. Very generous. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm not Jay. I'm Terry Stiles, and it's been many years since I've been to one of these. I'm from Oxford Community Television in Oxford, Michigan, and I just want to thank the people that put these together. I have been on boards before. I know there's a lot of work behind the scenes. This is a fantastic group of people. It's really nice to be around people that have the same ideas. I have volunteered to be on our regional board, or I've accepted a nomination anyhow, so I'm really looking forward to a yes vote for that. I really want to get more involved, and thank you for making this a great experience. To everybody that put time and energy into this, from last night, from the games to the education. Just want to thank everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Deb.
Hi, I'm Deb Vinsel. I'm the CEO at Thurston Community Media in Olympia, Washington, and this is my 35th national conference. There are people in this room who have been to more than me, not many, but a few. So over 35 years, I've had the wonderful opportunity, honor, and privilege to serve this organization in many leadership roles. So thank you to the leadership who continue the very good work in bringing us together to celebrate what we do. We've also had losses over the last few years, and I just want to lift up a memory of our dear friend Eric Mulberg, who we lost at this time last year. We got that notice during our conference. If you didn't know Eric, you should stop by the media or the municipal captionings booth and pick up a postcard. Thank you, Daniel, are you here, for remembering our dear Viking. But I also want to share that one of our international friends, Ruud de Bruin from Amsterdam, who was one of Eric's besties, put together a crowdsourced funding opportunity to honor Eric at the Golden Beggar Video Festival in Slovakia. And I'm sorry, I don't know a whole lot about the organization that puts it on, but it's an international community media organization that Eric attended frequently. And something like $2,000 US was raised by many of the people in this room. And it just points to the impact that Eric had, not only in our community and in Indiana at his center in Fort Wayne, but internationally how beloved he was. So I just want to lift up his memory because I know he's celebrating with us, and you should stop by the municipal captioning and pick up a postcard so you can see who this person was.
Any other comments, questions? Concerns? Tech tips? Greg?
No tech tips, I'm sorry. Left that, been there, done that. Greg Eplerwood, Burlington, Vermont. I'd like to actually, in preface to something else I'm going to say, I'd like to see the hands of folks who have been on the National NFLCP or ACM Board of Directors before today. Yeah, there's quite a few. Is Sue Buskey in the room too?
Yeah, right over here in front.
Okay. Okay, yeah, thank you very much. I was on the board in the mid-'80s, and at a time when, I'm sorry I don't remember, maybe Sue can remember the name of our treasurer who stood up on a chair and says, "We can't afford it." Paul Brun, okay. And yeah, and those were the times that Nancy was mentioning, that the organization was having such a terrible time for so many years financially. Maybe it's because we're getting older and we're all earning more that maybe we can give more money, but I think it's more to say about, I was hired on an interim basis in 2010 to sort of downsize the organization. Downsize, it's a sort of a euphemism from what I did. But I wanted to preface what I'm about to say. I wanted to thank the leadership of Mike Wassenaar and the board of directors over the past several years for bringing this organization back to fiscal security. It's astounding. After so many years, year after year, hearing about the financial problems, this was a pleasure listening to this to this treasurer's report this year. So I'm so happy to still be a member of the organization since 1979, I think it has been. Sue hired me to do our first publication with Paul Dari. It's still available on, if you go on eBay, you can still buy it. The Directory of Community Resources Directory, something like that, I think it was called. Yeah. And so anyway, we've seen a lot. We've been through a lot over the years, and thank you very much for the current and past several year board of directors, and back to 1976, actually. Board of directors over the years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg, for those kind words. I know I always say that in board service, we stand, I'm borrowing a phrase from a colleague of mine back home, that in public service, a lot of times we stand upon the shoulders of those that have gone before us, and that's definitely the case. So thank you for your support and your work over the years as well. So, any other questions, comments? Is there anything else before us today that a member would like to bring up in terms of business? If not, I invite you to, we have about a half hour or so before our next workshop sessions at 1:45. Feel free to, again, network within this room, but more importantly, network in the hallway with our vendors. They'll be here only for the rest of the day today, so your last opportunity to meet with them. And if there's nothing else before us, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. And again, if those of you who have pledge cards, I'd like to ask some of our board members to collect them at the door or drop them off at the registration desk. Now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you so much.